Well, despite the pandemic, air travel is soaring once again in the U.S. Last Friday, I think the TSA said like roughly 1.4 million people traveled. That's a new record for single-day travel during the pandemic, right? There's that asterisk. While the CDC is still saying, folks, slow your roll. They're advising against non-essential travel. Airlines say they actually believe the numbers are going up due to more people booking flights for spring break and summer. Right? We're trying to think about getting somewhere warm and relaxing. What is the reality of traveling right now? What is required? Let's have that conversation. Angel Castellanos is a travel journalist and joins us now, and hopefully we'll get some answers. Normally we'd have you on to be talking about all the great places we want to go and what recommendations you have on travel. No, we need to slow our roll, right, Angel? It's a different kind of conversation we're going to have today.
Absolutely. You know, things certainly haven't changed so much since last year in terms of the mask requirement that's required on airplanes, and the CDC now requires a test for international travelers returning back into the United States to have a test 3 days before they arrive.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I think there were people, I know there were people that had paused trips they were supposed to take, you know, the big anniversary trip or the big girls trip or whatever. We'll just do it next year. We'll just do it next year. Well, there's some of them are thinking they might want to do it, but they need to sort of research is it location specific, or is it sort of an overarching theme we're seeing in terms of pandemic regulations?
No, you are absolutely right. It's definitely location specific, because there are international destinations that require a COVID test or a quarantine just to be able to travel there. But there are still a handful of countries like the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Mexico, where you don't need a COVID test or a quarantine to get into those particular destinations.
But those particular destinations, are they recommended? Because I know the CDC is sort of saying, look, it's best not to be traveling right now. What are the COVID protocols there? Can you feel safe going to those locations right now?
Well, I certainly have been to Mexico. I've been to Costa Rica. I'm taking off to the Dominican Republic next month. And I will tell you, as long as you practice everything that we've been practicing before, like good hand health, wearing a mask, and following all of the local rules and social distancing, you can still travel safely and responsibly. But it's all about keeping that social distance and kind of integrating outdoor activities into your vacation. So that way you're not really, you know, hanging around so many people.
No, that's a good idea. So let's talk about the requirements outgoing. Do you need necessarily, if you're going to an international location, will you need to have a negative COVID test before you can get on the plane?
You know, it definitely depends. My first step is to always go to the State Department website, which usually links up to the tourism board websites or official government websites of other countries. And the State Department will list definitively whether or not you need a COVID test or need to quarantine to go to an international destination.
A tip from Michaela to you: Google U.S. State Department, and then there's travel advisories right there. You can do that, and that's a really smart thing. Now, in terms of returning to the good old U.S. of A., that's a different story. There is a blanket expectation, correct?
There is. The CDC requires for travelers returning to the U.S. to take a COVID test 3 days before they arrive. So, for example, when I went to Costa Rica, I did a bunch of research. I went to the tourism board website, bookmarked all these clinics, but then decided just to make it easy for myself and let my hotel take care of it. That is a new amenity for hotels and resorts. They're offering either free COVID tests or the ability to connect travelers with local clinics to make the process a whole lot easier.
Fantastic. That is a great tip right there. And again, this is why the spontaneity of going on a trip might not be so smart. Traveling during a pandemic, you're going to need to do some pre-planning and pre-plotting. Like you said, bookmark some of those pages, talk to the concierge or talk to the hotel ahead of time. Now, what about insurance? Is there even such thing as pandemic travel insurance? Because I was thinking, what if you get somewhere and suddenly a lockdown is suddenly put in place? Are you just, like, what happens to you?
You know, a lot of the travel insurance companies are now using pandemic insurance as a marketing phrase, but we have to be very careful as travelers and consumers to read the fine print, because unless you have a policy that is a cancel for any reason policy, which only covers 75% of your trip, by the way, you still may be out of pocket some cash.
Yeah.
So I would layer on the policies that really protect you. And certain countries now are requiring additional travel insurance that isn't necessarily covered by your credit card. So for example, Costa Rica required $50,000 in medical insurance and an additional $2,000 in case you were stuck there and tested positive and had a quarantine.
What is your biggest recommendation in terms of a location or a type of vacation people can safely plan if they're really anxious to get out and do something maybe this summer?
I would certainly start by looking at the COVID numbers. You can go to the CDC website or the WHO website to check out where you're going, but also definitely plan social distance activities, outdoor activities, road trips, and stay at properties that give you plenty of privacy or in hotels that are spaced out where there's not that many guests, and you're still gonna have a wonderful resort experience, but not be completely on top of each other's.
Cabins
and private
or villas and things like that. Yeah, I imagine if you can roll that way, that's the way to go.
Yeah, private villas and privacy is the main concern right now for people booking accommodations, for sure.
Angel, I just went to my head in a private villa somewhere, and I don't even care where, and I had a 2-second vacation while you mentioned that to me. What a gift you have, my dear. Look, Angel, I'd like to do this again with you as we begin to open up more and sort of see what this, you know, hopefully post-pandemic travel world looks like. How does that sound?
That sounds great. I'm headed to the Dominican Republic and Jamaica next month, so we'll talk then.
And you stay safe, my dear. You stay safe, and then let us know, and maybe you can. I'll indulge you. You can show me a few slides from your trip. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
And again, I want to point out you can find more information on Angel because he's a great resource. AngelsTravelLounge.com, right there on your website. He's got all sorts of travel news and tips to keep you abreast as you're thinking of maybe trying to get somewhere this summer. Thanks, Angel. Still to come today.